Okay, we're live. Does anyone want to have a particular hankering to start, or do we want to just jump right in somewhere?
There was one question that was like, why is family life education so important? And I think it's like an important question to address.
Okay, just so I'm clear, are we supposed to be answering then just like the past question, like the reference questions that we were given? Or are these just like, I don't know, I hope I'm not the only one a little confused with what exactly. I know we're live, so. But.
No, you're fine. I think we're just supposed to use those kind of as a reference and just kind of discuss off of those. Like was it Sarah that said, just find ones that you think are important and we'll just kind of talk about those, I guess?
Cool.
See, sorry, I was trying to find the one Sarah brought up.
So yeah, what was your question then?
So like, why is family life education so important?
Well, from what I was reading in our chapters, that's really beautiful. I'm on a meeting right now. Sorry. That it's mostly education on preventative programs. And it's important because I don't remember, I think it was primary, secondary, and tertiary, probably saying that completely wrong. But I think that the importance of this sort of education is to help people and prevent them from getting all the way to the third level. And I don't know, that's, I guess, what I thought. It's really important because it is educational for people who don't have the resources to learn about it. Where I grew up, we didn't have anything like this where I'm from. And I think it would be really beneficial if we did. So I think it's helping families.
Yeah, I responded to this question on my outline, but I was saying how since like family is like a really fundamental unit in society, that when we strengthen the family, we can strengthen the community. And then I was also thinking that that family life education is important because no marriage and no family is perfect, and that families are always going to struggle in one way or another.
Yeah, I liked, I can't remember where it was in the reading. I'm pretty sure it's for this class, but it talked about having some places try to make it like a rule that you need to take a marriage prep class before you get married. And I think that's so smart. And I think that goes right along with the importance of family life education, because even though marriage is kind of, like a natural step in life, it's not always a naturally easy thing to fall into. And I've definitely learned since having a baby that becoming a mother isn't always just an easy thing to fall into either. And there's a lot of, ups and downs and challenges that come with it, and use all the help you can get. So having this extra education, and I mean, I have siblings that all have kids, and I grew up babysitting, and I have my family's strong in the church, and my parents had a good marriage. So it's not like I didn't have good examples growing up, but it's still nice to just have a little extra education on any of it to in line, I guess, and just kind of keep it fresh in your mind. Even the people that, maybe aren't necessarily as much risk as other people, it's still a good thing to refresh on.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking back on that same reference, because we were so blessed to be in the church and to have all of that around us. But I'm just thinking also of, people, sometimes we're like intimidated, like things like this family life education comes up, like people can become either intimidated or feel embarrassed that they don't want to express. And so I feel like by having these family education programs, like it allows for that like collaboration that we learned about, like having that opportunity. And so I just think that's just so awesome that is out there, like you've all said. So yeah, right there with you guys.
So I like what Grace mentioned about the different preventative levels, and the question that asks which level would you prefer to work with and why. I guess I'll start. I put that I would prefer to do either primary, tertiary, or secondary. I would either like to help prevent the problem before it ever starts, because then it's like, okay, then you can avoid the whole roller coaster in the first place, or even secondary, you know, take care of it when it's starting to be a problem, but it's not like it's totally ruined their lives already. I don't know. I feel like tertiary would be hard to deal with because it's like, first of all, it's just a lot more to do. And I feel like it would be hard to see a lot of those things that you would have to help people overcome. And I don't know, I'd kind of just like to help people fix the issue before it becomes a huge, serious issue. But what about you guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. Like, you know, Bill, like you're saying, yeah, that would be way hard. Like going on to the like trying to tackle that third, you'd have to have tons of experience, because the first thing they're gonna say is that you have no idea what I'm going through, and so it's like you have to have tons of backup, which is like, it's obviously not impossible, but you know, you have to just be there every step of the way and be ready. And so by having those guardrails before it even happens, you know, or at least something to help them like get back on, or maybe even like those, I always picture like, you know, when you're driving, you have the guardrails, and then you have the, I don't even know what they're called, but the bumps that help you keep in line before you actually go off the road. And so yeah, that's, yeah. So being that for them rather than, you know, something before it's already happened, it's almost too late. So
I'm like the complete opposite of you guys. I ultimately want to become like a family abuse counselor. So I'm wanting to work with people already going through the abuse and working towards like either ending the abuse or helping the victims get away from the abuse. And so it's always been something that I've been passionate about and really want to help, especially children, like overcome this and be able to feel like they can trust other adults, and for wives or even husbands who are victims to be able to overcome and start a new life and help them in that process.
I chose secondary. My thought process with that seems like everybody or almost everybody's going to hit that primary where you're going to get married or you're going to have kids, and so you kind of have to be somebody without problems to have them, I guess. And so secondary was appealing to me because it seems like a lot of people probably get to that point. Not everybody gets to the serious problem stage, but a lot of people start slipping in to the secondary phases where they start to see the signs and the risk involved in going further down, I guess, with either marriage or your family. And I just thought about these workshops and how fun they are. And if I could do that for somebody, I'd want to do it for people who are already married and have kids and are starting to hit that struggle area and try to pull them back before they get too far. So that just sounded like the kind of people I could relate to, maybe, since it's been a while since I've been newly married or new kids. So.
Sarah, I think that is so awesome that you want to do that. I would love to do something like that, but I honestly don't think I'm strong enough to be able to handle stuff like that. I had to stop watching Criminal Minds when I had a baby because they like always had cases about kids, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So yeah, I do think it would be so great, but I just do not have the mentality for it, I don't think. But I guess kind of along with that, in the first question, what would you guys like? I mean, if you and get a career with this major, what would you ideally like to do with it?
That was one of the questions I had too. I liked that question a lot. I think my two main goals would be to work with LDS Family Services. My mom did it for a while, and she couldn't give me a ton of details, but she got to help a lot of people, and I just felt like that would be like a really fulfilling thing to do. And then something else that this class has made me want to do, especially for my hometown where it's just a community that could really benefit from this education. I would love to do workshops for my community at home. You know, you're going to have to wait. Seems like every time I'm on here, they got to tell me something. I'm so sorry. You're going to have to wait. Go sit down. Anyway, I would like to do this like a couple of times a month or once a month or something, just for free for my community and share what I learn. Once I learn more, I'm not sure I feel fully prepared to really teach people quite yet on that level, but I think that those would be really fun things to do with what I learned.
Yeah, I never really considered doing family life education like ever, mostly because I just never wanted to teach classes and stuff. But the more that like I'm getting into this class, the more I realize I want to do it. And like Grace, I really want to do something with like LDS Family Services. I've grown up in Salt Lake and have been like really close to the LDS Church in Salt Lake and being around like all the services there. And it's always just been kind of my dream to do something with them. And like adding in an abuse would be amazing. I mean, I've already have done some stuff. I actually interned in high school at a therapeutic preschool for kids who've been through abuse, and we were teaching them life skills about how to cope and continue on in their lives. And that's what I really liked about that, was being able to help kids. And never got to work with see the parents, but I was able to help the kids develop the skills necessary to move on to another stage of life.
I don't know where Camille went, but I actually wanted to be a child development major because I was really interested in becoming a child life specialist. So like working in a hospital with kids that, either with kids that are there long term, or like they even have you help with kids that are just getting like their cast off, or but I would like to more work with the kids that are there long term. You work with them and their families, kind of just to help them understand what's going on and kind of help them through the process of, you know, receiving long term treatment in the hospital and what that means for your family. My degree online, and they don't have child development online, so I did marriage and family studies instead, and then just take like child development classes. But I feel like this major has actually prepared me a lot more for that, because I feel like child development is just more like you go through these stages and they grow this way, but I feel like this class has given me more, I don't know, I guess more ammo for how to talk people through situations and how to help them best manage and handle difficult situations. So I'm glad it worked out this way. But yeah, if I have to work, that would be my dream job, working with kids in hospital.
I have to say, I still have like no idea what exactly I want to do. It was just kind of like a tender mercy that this degree actually showed up for me. So it's like nice to hear everyone's opinions and to really know what you can even do with these things. Because honestly, wouldn't, just like with taking so many of these classes, it's like the options are almost like endless because of how much need is in this world now and is out there. So I don't know. Still a work in progress, but I look forward to, if I ever need to find those steps that I need to take. Also, if I need to take off my camera, it's because I'm nursing him. So.
No worries. I was worried about having to do that too, but I just pulled out a bottle because I didn't want to deal with it. She's been a nightmare today. Anyways, did anyone else have a particular question you wanted to address, or I can just keep going through?
I had a question. I think it was from this week, that said, what are your beliefs about the purpose or role of the family? and how does family life education tie in with your beliefs about the purpose of the family? It's kind of like a hardcore question, but I thought it was really interesting.
I mean, we're all LDS, and we all believe that families are supposed to be eternal. I mean, we can't say that for every single family in the world because not everyone has eternal marriages and sailings in temples, but just having that belief in our life, we can take that onto family life education and teach families how to strengthen their own families, whether or not they are going to be eternal or not, and just being able to make their family life as good as possible. And I think, like, since the gospel revolves around families, when families have strong, like, bonds, I feel like they could be more receptive to the gospel and with, like, the blessings that the gospel can bring into their lives, and if the opportunity comes to them.
I think it was you, Sarah, maybe, that said that the family is like the basic unit of the community. Their role is to kind of keep society and the community functioning. And I feel like on a fundamental level, the role of individual families is to raise children and to teach them, right and wrong. They're to raise the next generation and to kind of keep things rolling. And as parents, it's your role to teach, your kids how to be a decent human being. And as kids, it's your role to learn kind of how the world works, and you can use your family for that. And a family should be a safe place that you should be, emphasize, a safe place that you can go to learn those things and to kind of seek refuge. And there's a lot of families that aren't that way. There's a lot of kids that have, they seek refuge at school or anywhere besides the home, and that's kind of what the job of a family life educator is to help create that stability in a home for those kids, so that we can be teaching a righteous generation in a way.
Some things that, like, one of the main reasons I love where we're reading at is just because of how I thought it'd be more on the scientific level, and like more of all about, make sure we're getting the data, which is good. But like after I've been reading the chapters that we've been required to read, I've just felt like this, I feel like, the Spirit is there as we're reading this, and it's telling us, like what you have all said, helping those families who really need it, and going even out of our own way, whether it's hard or not hard, or just by understanding that the family is the unit of society, and this is an important aspect to our plan, the plan here on Earth. So I just think it's just amazing that that there are articles, and that there are people who aren't even members who believe in this so strongly. So.
Yeah, I like what you said, Caitlin, about raising up your kids to take over and be the next generation, hopefully the better one. I know I try to make my kids better than myself. I feel like that's probably the main purpose of family life education too, is to give families the education they need to do that, to have strong relationships with each other, to set good examples for their kids, to raise healthy mind, body, and spirit kids, in the family. It's amazing that everybody's not members of the church who are interested in this. But yeah, I agree with all of you that they pretty much, our beliefs tie in so perfectly with most of the ideals of the FLE. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, did anyone else have another question you wanted to look at specifically? And we started at like 7:15, right? ish. Yeah. Okay. And do what I was interested in is what kind of approach. Camilla, did you have a question you wanted to do?
No, go ahead. You do yours.
Okay. I just wanted to know which of the approaches that Duncan and Goddard talked about that you would be interested in in subscribing to.
Is that like the expert, collaborative, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I would like to be like collaborative. I mean, I like to, with being like not technically like a professional right now, but like just having the knowledge that I have in this background, I'd like to add that into it. But I'd also like knowing that people's personal experiences will also help them, and like being able to learn from the others in class and getting that extra and input from other workshop participants would really be beneficial, more than just saying, this is what the research says, and this is what you need to do to achieve this. But, yeah.
I said the same thing, Sarah. Except that I would like to have all the education of the expert, but maybe not teach that way. I really like the collaborative as well, where it's more open to ideas and opinions than just sticking to all of the, I guess, like the peer-reviewed research and stuff that gets kind of boring. It's interesting, but it can be kind of boring. I like that's what I like about this education program, where they wanted it to be outside of the classroom setting and the traditional setting. They wanted it to be more of that community feel where everyone gets to be a part of it. And so that really appeals to me.
So far we're all on the same page. So collaboration is what I was thinking as well. My main reason for that is just because I'm so young and I'm just barely starting out my family. I don't want people to feel like I'm telling them because I know what's best and this is what, is most important. But I want people, because if they see that I'm so young, and people who will have more children than I do or whatever, I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to say I know better than them. And so I feel like by having a group discussion, it allows for many opinions and rather than just me directing something. And so I just feel like that would be a lot more beneficial, at least definitely in my case too. So that's how I feel.
Hey, Camilla, I tell my mom all the time, she's got 8 kids, but I tell her since I now have background in marriage and family, I know more than she does. So don't be afraid of it. Just tell them.
I need to have that mentality now.
It's a good point. You got the education, might as well use it, right? I also said collaborator pretty much for all of the same reasons you guys did. I mean, we talk a bunch, especially this week, about how important it is to get the needs of your audience and make sure you're teaching to their needs. And so I feel like that's kind of the best way to do it. I mean, you are the teacher, so you should come with, your knowledge and education and with kind of a preparation, but teach off what they're wanting. And I think that's kind of the best option to do it that way. And then did you want to do a question, Camilla?
I was just going to ask, because one of the questions for this week was in the, I don't know if it was with the Appendix A or if it was just in the chapter in general, Chapter 1. It just asked how or what does it say? To motivate, how do you want to motivate? How do you feel like you can motivate people, whether they're family life educators or just even families in general. I was a little hesitant on how, I don't know why, I couldn't really picture exactly how this, the best ways to go about this was, but so I thought, I'm like, well, I'll ask that and see what everyone else thinks. So, yeah.
I was thinking about this question too, and I'm actually going to pull up what my response was to it. You can like motivate like really well by like emphasizing the positive consequences or outcomes, I guess, about like why the workshop or what you're teaching about is so important, and just like highlight like this will like not necessarily this, but like it will increase the marital satisfaction or whatever you're going for. And then I know like when I'm sitting in classrooms and the teacher is being super passionate about what they are teaching about, I am so much more engaged and motivated to actually learn and do something about the things that I learned about. And so I feel like if we can be passionate in our own teaching, people will realize that maybe this is important. Let's pay attention and get something out of this.
Something that I thought of for that was not overwhelming them with the far off goal. I think that when you go in and you have a specific topic that you don't want to, I don't know, take over and just be like, this is the goal, it's going to take you 5 years to get here. And I feel like that's really overwhelming to me. So I think that you can motivate by giving easier, smaller goals to accomplish along the way. I was like, oh, I don't have to do all this hard stuff and wait 5 years to be happy. I can do this small thing and have it done in a day or a week, and then I can move on to the next step. And I think if you make it more manageable or more doable, it makes it, I guess, seem easier, and it would motivate me to try harder to reach those goals.
I like this class because, well, when we were doing the target audience part of this, I think it was like last week, it was, we had the overarching goal, which is like what we ultimately want to accomplish. I feel like that would be like the overwhelming goal if we stated it, but I like how we kind of broke it down into like smaller objectives of what we want our participants to get out of our workshop, and I really like that.
I like what you said, Sarah, about passion, and when a teacher is passionate about something, it piques your interest as well. I think that's a big deal in getting people to be interested in it. And I think also just, I don't know, making sure that it's something that's going to be that I don't know, I guess that's kind of tailored to their needs. Like, well, for example, today, so all these girls in my ward, we all had a baby, like all had babies this year. And so we do these play dates that's really more for us moms and for the kids because they're also little. But, and I was going to have them be part of my audience for the workshop. And part of our topic is creating a positive environment, like in your home. And so we were talking about like how nervous we are to raise kids like in this world. And so I just kind of brought up like, well, like I'm actually going to teach a workshop on this, and just kind of brought up about how, you know, like we're going to be doing a lot of like gospel research and statistical, you know, like, and scholarly research, and like, you know, just kind of mentioned what we were doing, and they all were like super interested and excited because it was something that pertained to them and something that was a worry. So I think just finding a way to, you know, and that's why we try to find their needs. That's going to motivate them to come because they realize it's something that they are actually interested in, rather than, I mean, if somebody told me they were running a workshop on how to, I don't know, how to run a statistical analysis on something, you know, I'd be like, who cares? I'm not going to that. But, you know, something that's going to teach me to be a better mom, or to be a better wife, or how to keep a cleaner house, or, you know, I'd be like, yeah, that's obviously something that pertains to my life. And So I think the key is either finding something that applies to your audience or finding an audience that applies to what you want to teach. Okay, so that has been about half an hour. Unless anyone has any more questions they want to discuss, at least questions from the outline. And then if we have questions about the class, I'll stop the broadcast and we can talk about those. But going once, going twice. Okay, I'll end the broadcast.